All right, hey everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So as promised, now that we're finally fully caught up with Akane-Banashi, it's time to get into doing the weekly reaction reviews for the series. Without further ado, let's dive into it. Shonen Jump actually came out a little bit earlier this week than normal. It came out on a Friday instead of a Sunday. So going forward, expect these videos to usually drop on Sundays. But since Shonen Jump dropped early this week, I figured I might as well get to it early as well. So without further ado, let's dive into it with Akane-Banashi, Story 45, Two Steps, with story by Yuki Suenaga, art by Takamasa Moe, translation by Stephen Paul, lettering by Asnia Aran, with Rakugo supervision by Keiki Hayashiya. So we have Urara back in the karaoke room with Urara. She goes, "The story and the teller aren't suited for one another." And Akane's like, "What does that mean?" And you hear a rrr as the phone is ringing. And Urara tells her, "You'll have to think about it for yourself. But bear in mind, you've only got two... you've only got two more chances. Time is not on your side." It's like stories are learned in two steps: story practice and recital practice. Story practice. The master performs the story as though to an audience. Apprentice watches and learns. Recital practice. Apprentice demonstrates the story back to master. With master's approval, so you have like a little flow chart like success and failures. Like with master's approval, the story is recognized as mastered. A mastered story can be performed publicly. An unmastered story cannot be performed live. Recital must be attempted again. And Akane's like, "She's given me 3 attempts to perform the story for her. I only have 2 more chances to learn from Master Urara. I've got to find the clue to mastering this story." He's like, "Oh right, when was Rokuro's event again?" It's like June 18th at 6 o'clock. It's like, "Myra." And she hands her something. It's like, "Here, Master." It's like, "In that case..." The recital practice will be on June 18th at 1 o'clock. I'll contact you later about scheduling our next session. Nakane's like, "Huh?" It's like, "You've got to have the story ready in time for Rokuro's event, don't you? That's about the only time I have free." It's like, "But that shouldn't be a problem, as long as you master the story." Oh, she's got a little schedule book where she's penciling it in. So you see later with Koguma and Baldhead Bro's name, I cannot remember. It'll come to me. And Koguma's like, "So, that's where you're at now?" It's like, "Exactly." It's like, "You learning from Master Urara?" It's like, "Who would have thought?" It's like, "Yes, there's that, but also, Kane's always getting into fights about something or another." It's like, "Are you ever not rushing headlong into drama?" And she's like all these criticisms just stabbing into her head. It's like, "Can't you just be chill and normal?" It's like, how have you trained with Master for 7 years and only have 5 stories to show for it?" And Kane's like, "Actually, there are a bunch of stories that I know from memory. I would listen to CDs of 20th century Rakugo from home or at the library and memorize them." So, "But you can't do a public performance of a story you learned on your own." It's like, "I know that." It's like, "But I want to make Futatsume as quickly as possible. And to be a Futatsume in the Arakawa school, you need to have at least 50 Rakugo stories under your belt." And you see Futatsume promotion list is Rakugo is 50 stories, and you have Kodan storytelling, song and dance, taiko drums. It's like Master's training was more about building strong fundamentals than learning new stories. His standards for passing me were high, which made it difficult to add more. Of course, that's my fault. I thought that if I knew the stories first, they would take less time to master when it came time for lessons. So I memorized the lines when I wasn't in training sessions with them. I mean, I don't want to be any old Rakugoka. I want to be an Arakawa school Shinichi. And the only thing I thought about was meeting the criteria in advance as soon as possible. And then Koguma was like, "Huh. So as someone who's learned a variety of stories one way or another, what do you think? Are you well suited to playing an Oiran?" It's like, "An Oiran is a lady of the night skilled at seducing men with her many charms." If you ask me if Akane fits that image, I'd have to say no. It's like, "I guess I'm really not cut out for this one then, huh?" It's like, "That's not necessarily true. Sometimes the subtlest little details can be the key to turning a weakness into a strength." It's like, "Of course, it's just as common to shelve a story that you'll never be able to master." It's like, "But, as with all things, you won't understand unless you try to understand. Keep pushing along. That's what you're good at, right?" And you see, The next day with my first step, you have signs is Yamakawa Beauty School, Yamakawa Medical School, and you see Kane's been like all gussied up and fancied up in traditional like Oiran's clothing. It's like, whoa, look at me, I'm an Oiran. This is amazing, Risa. It's like, it's no biggie. It's like, I didn't know it was so hard to move around as an Oiran. This head ornament is really weighing on my neck. Okay, I think I'm ready. And she goes to try to perform for Radha again. Who's like, huh, you seem really stiff. And Akane's like, what? It's like, if you're trying to express the feel of the Oiran's kimono and the weight of the headdress, you're going about it way too literally. And it's just like splapped in the face, like, oof, sorry. So what should I do to understand the Oiran better? It's a good question. It's like, you're young. Why don't you just go out on a date? Nakane's like, huh? It's like, with that advice? Question mark in hand. I did some research. He's like, kind of just like poring over some books. He's like, I don't understand. It's like, aha, I see, interesting. I don't understand the mindset of the Oiran at all. This isn't like when I learned Chugamu. The brothel culture is so outside of my experience that the more I learn, the further the story seems to be slipping away from me. And you see the days kind of quickly passing by. And you see, after much experimentation, she tells her, like, you feel like an armchair theorist. It's like, my lessons ended and I was fresh out of ideas. And Radha's like, you've only got 5 days until your recital session. Will you be able to make it in time? Nakane's like, what should I do? Just knowing the story isn't going to cut it this time. But what more can I do? She's like, oh. And she meets up with that Jumbo who's like, I guess I showed up a little early. It's strange for Akane to invite me out to eat, though. I haven't seen her since we graduated 3 months ago. So what if going pro has totally warped her into a different person? He thinks of her like being like all refined and ladylike. He's like, oh, hi, hi, Ozaki. Wow, long time no see, huh? She's got like her hair done up all fancy. She's got like a fancy shirt and everything on it. And because he's just completely disgusted by, like, he's got this huge grimace on his face. As Akane's like, I've been so excited to see you again. He's like, Aka's like, you're, what? So come on, let's go get some food. She's like, wow. I was like, this is so embarrassing. What the hell am I doing? And he's like, but, it's like, assuming she was insinuating that I need experience to act like an Oiran. It's like, still, a date? The other apprentices are too much like family. He just thinks back to Karachi. He's just being like, I would never. It's like, no use asking him. And Pretty Boy, whose name I also cannot remember at the moment, he's like, oh, I would absolutely, like, no way. It's like, which means, sorry, Jumbo, you're it. And he's like, what is up with this bizarre new vibe? She's always had a headstrong leap before you look side to her, but it's strange. That part of her hasn't changed at all. In fact, it's getting even worse. And you see her just trying to be like cozy up to him. Alright. So I love how Akane is just like trying to like barrel through and like bullheadedly just like read like theory books and like research papers, trying to figure out how to act like an Oiran. And Aurora's kind of like right and pointed out, like, you know, this is something you have to get like experience at. You know, you can't just kind of like read theory books, like speculation on it. This is something like you have to go out and experience. You're not just going to be an emulator from like, you know, first-hand accounts and stuff like that. Akane is just like, you know, it's like, oh no, I've always mastered like the other stuff so easily. Like, this is so out of her comfort zone that she's just completely taken out of it. She has no idea what to do. And I love that she's kind of just like waiting until like the last minute to try and like finally take her advice and be like, I'll go out on a date. And it's kind of hilarious for the fact that she's been like so laser focused on Rakugo that her only options for like, you know, like guys that she knows to go out with or she can ask out with, like her dating pool is so limited to who she can ask out. So I just find like really amusing how socially awkward she is, because she is basically like almost a tomboy at this point. So it's kind of hilarious how outside of her wheelhouse she is, and it's like trying to perfect this role. I love what she's like, oh, it's like, it's just like cosplay. As long as I get the costume right, it's like, I'm sure I'll figure out how to do the role perfectly. And I love how it just completely falls flat. But this feels like, she's going to have, like, as soon as we got to the end, she's like thinking back about to Pretty Boy Senpai again. Their names are slipping my mind right now. But this feels like it's setting up for her to eventually go to Pretty Boy Senpai, the self-proclaimed professed lady killer. And I feel like she's gonna go learn from him, like what the whole deal like involves. Like, I feel like that's what this is setting up to or leading up to. But I love how when she's trying to be like the girly girl, like instead of what the typical reaction you'd expect from Ozaki being like, oh my god, like blushing and be like, oh my god, I can't believe like Akane's became a hottie, etc. Instead, he's just got like the foulest grimace on his face, where he's like, what the fuck is this? Am I being pranked right now? What's going on? I love that that's his reaction to all of this, and I love that Akane is once again just like completely out to left field, like with what she's supposed to be doing. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to how badly this date is gonna crash and burn. But yeah, we'll see. Like, again, like, well, I think like final comment before I close this out. I feel like Ozaki absolutely has a crush on her, and he's probably gonna like at least, if not tell her what his true feelings, or at least like insinuate, I think, how he feels about her in this little fake date. I'm not really super sold on them as a couple, so we'll see if this like does anything to change my mind or not. But apart from that, I really love how this like just really emphasized all of Akane's worst tendencies, rather than doing the opposite. I really love that. Can't wait to see where it goes from here. But yeah, but like I said, we are since I finally caught up with the series. Look forward to doing these reaction reviews week to week. So we'll have, I think Jump is on break next week, so the next video for this will be a couple of weeks from now. So that should be nice. Like I mentioned, a couple of the last other videos, I'm going to get to some Yona videos today, as well as the new Kaiju chapter, so look forward to that as well. As always, if you've liked my content, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Especially like, commenting, subscribing, pressing all those little buttons really helps me out a lot, because it helps the YouTube algorithm kind of learn that my videos are worth promoting, and that helps me reach a wider audience, which will kind of help me grow the channel. And like I mentioned in a couple of the other videos, I'm trying to be more consistent about that this year, so any help with regards to that would be greatly appreciated. So until next time, this is Ash. I'll talk to you all later.